night. NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight. Peacemakers gaming life so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace. Speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our only place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our only place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. In this high octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam. Racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might. All might. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here for the tricky Tri-Oval 55. Now, I think the AI messed up our boy Gregory a little bit here early this afternoon, as the AI told him this track is called, or nicknamed, the Tricky Tri-Oval. It's actually the Tricky Triangle, but nonetheless, we are ready to get that battle, and we're ready to go to war here this afternoon at Pocono Speedway, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Tricky Triangle. It is time for each and every one of these drivers to shine, try to put themselves up and into victory lane. This is going to be another fun, exciting race. A lot of back and forth, a lot of battling. We're going to see 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide, maybe even a little 5 wide out there on the Speedway. It's going to be a heck of a show here this evening for everybody to enjoy. Hey, it's Kev. Says, sup, man? What's up, Kev? How are you? Hey, what's good, brother? What's good, brother? How are you? How you doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys know what to do already. If you guys are just tuning in, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as the Grizzly Long Cut number 16 ride going to be starting on the pole here this afternoon. That is Alex Pelican in the top spot here this evening. It is foggy here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know who turned the fog up, but it is absolutely foggy here this evening, as Pelican will start in that top spot to his outside the dirt track junkies number 61. It's Josh Peacock. Peacock starting there in position number 2 here this evening. Starting back there in that third position is the 27. That is Nick Garner. To his outside in the 34, it's Zach Michael. Starting at position number 5 in the number 3 machine, that is the Asheville Outlaws ride of Mark Beverly. To his outside, the race line number 1, that is Brad Lane. Starting at position number 7 in the 971, that is Nate Maurer. We'll start there in 7th with Bobby Blair there to his outside. Nicholas Snyder back there in position number 9 with Brandon Eastman rounding out our top 10 here this afternoon. So our top 10 are ready to rock and roll, as Hayes Kemp says, not too good, being in the hospital all day. Oh, brother, what? Hopefully it's not for anything serious, my boy. Hopefully it's for nothing major. Hopefully it's just something simple, and hopefully it heals and you get better quick. We never like to hear that, my boy. We never like to hear that. Being stuck in the hospital all day is never a fun time. As hey, Kev says, hoping for some good racing, stuck in bed. Yeah, brother, that's we're hoping to put on a great show for you. As we see Nicholas Snyder, he's back there in that 5 ride. Chris Gilbert down to his inside. The 38 rider Joshua Ledoux in the Klondike 64 of Cal Turbeville. Then we see Austin Gustafson in the LI 71 machine, the 51. That is Brian Chu. Josh Ely back there in that 16th position. Then we see Brandon DeMay, Tyson Pankow, John McCullich, Ed Koschersberger. And then we see Tim Blankenbeckler, Nathan Ostrowiecki, Neil Lapidus in that Friends for Pets in number 26 ride. Then we see William Klein, Jason LePan, Kyle Van Tassel, Matt Langley, Kevin Winker, Ryan Peterson, and Robert Howard bringing up the rear of the field here. Unfortunately, I don't see Robert Howard out there. I don't see Jacob Grube out on the racetrack or John Herbert. So there's a few drivers that, unfortunately, are going to be starting down pit side. You do see Jacob Grube. He is sliding back out onto the racetrack. Same with John Herbert, just not out there for the start of this race. And already the battling is commencing here this evening at the Tricky Triangle. As it is a foggy, it is a stormy style of a race here this afternoon. It's going to really make things interesting here as this track, it's going to be cold, it's going to be a little slimy, a little slippery out there, and it's going to be very, very fun. As Jimmy Six Time says, I'm watching from the nursing home. From the nursing home? What? They checked me in this week. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. From the nursing home. Oh, brother, that's no good. Says my PSCRL season is over. Oh, man. That's heartbreaker. That is a heartbreaker. As Jimmy Six Times says, Wanker Nation last. Yeah, unfortunately, K-Dub, he's been on a bit of a slide lately. He's been going through it here in the last little while. The last few weeks, this 42 ride, actually, I'd say the last few months, he's really been struggling out there. I don't know. He's going to have to try to figure something out and see if he can get that 42 ride figured out and back up to the front of the field like we're used to seeing him. As Nick Gardner, he's one of his older, one of the guys that he's raced with for a long time, continues to keep on running good. Still here at the front of the field as he's taking that race lead away from Alex Pelican. Pelican back into second with Brad Lane right there in third, but the battle for that third spot is heating up as Josh Peacock and Zach Michael right there putting the pressure all over that one machine. Quickly, you do see Nicholas Snyder. He's up 3 spots in position number 7 and looking for a couple more here as he looks to try to move around the number 3 of Mark Beverly. Nate Maurer right there as well, as you do see Joshua Ledoux and Bobby Blair rounding out our top 10, but he's got that Ally 71 truck down to his inside, looking fresh out there on the speedway for Austin Gustafson as that 71 keeps on rolling back there in that 10th position. Josh Ely, Brian Chu, and so many of these other drivers trying to race their way up to the front of the field on what is a very cloudy, stormy day here this afternoon. It's tough to see those cars in some of the different angles here. Is Big Donnie. What's good, Big Donnie? Big Donnie says, Winker, it says, let's go Cal T and Rob. The Uno. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm probably getting it wrong. The Uno. As James Corpenhagen says, Jimmy, you race? Jimmy does race. Jimmy does race quite a bit, yeah. He's one of the main guys, one of the admins, one of the guys that makes the show possible on our Saturday night shows over there. As we do see that 16, he's been able to take that race lead back away, as we do see our race leader, Nick Gardner, having to serve a penalty and have to come down pit side. And here at the Tricky Triangle, it's a very long front straightaway. It is a long trip down that pit road, and unfortunately now way back here in 29th, and definitely going to need a caution flag or two to try to get back into the action. Same with that 18 ride of Jacob Grube. John Herbert, he's down pit road. He's getting work done to his car, and unfortunately Robert Howard not out there on the speedway. As Pelican continuing to lead the way, he's out in front. It's Josh Peacock back there in position number 2. That dirt track junkies ride rolling there in that second position, as Brad Lane still in that third position right there on his back bumper. Then we see Zach Michael and Nate Maurer right there behind him trying to hunt these guys down. Everyone doing a great job. Oh my gosh, white screened us right there. That is a crazy angle. I don't understand why it's so foggy, why it's so cloudy here, but man, it is a whole lot of white right there. That blinded me right there real quick, ladies and gentlemen. That was absolutely crazy. As it's going to be tough for these drivers. See if we can take a look on board. It's not too bad. Once you're on the racetrack, once you're down low and you're kind of below that fog line, unfortunately, it's kind of where all of our cameras are. You can kind of really get a good glimpse at this racetrack and see these cars pretty easily now. Once they start getting a little farther away, like you can see the race leaders into the front here of Nathaniel Ostrowiecki's ride. It starts to get a little bit the visibility starts to go down a little bit more. It starts to get a little bit harder, but you do get a couple hundred feet at least of good visibility and able to see here in this one. As Hayes Kev says, hey, a winker, level out mine too. My last hope is Talladega this Saturday if I can make it. Oh, brother, yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Talladega is always tough. Yeah, Peach, I'm okay. I've been dealing with an issue for over a week and finally had to go to the hospital. Oh man, that's tough. That's tough, my boy. That's never fun. That's never fun at all. As Richard Bradshaw, what's good, Richard? Richard coming in, showing the love here in this one. Says, let's go, LeBan. Cheering on Jason LeBan out there on the Speedway as each and every one of these drivers continue to steamroll around the tricky triangle here this afternoon. As Big Donnie cheered on Cal T and Rob out there on the Speedway. Brett Winker coming in as well. Says, let's go Winker. Hashtag Winker Nation up in the house here this afternoon. And Janelle says, let's go Team HP Motorsports. Hashtag RidgePowerSports and KR Gutters. We got to give a huge shout out here this afternoon to one of our main sponsors of this race. This is the Tricky Tri-Oval 55 presented by RidgePowerSports. We got to give a huge shout out there to RidgePowerSports for once again being a part of an amazing family here with the HCK Beagles family, and we can't thank them enough for everything they do behind the scenes to help every one of these shows roll so smoothly year after year after year, season after season here with the HCK Beagles. Huge shout out there to RidgePowerSports as each and every one of these drivers continue to battle, continue to try to find their way into the top spot. But Alex Pelican out in front this 16 right. He is hooked up here this afternoon. Lost that race lead for a little bit, but the Bunkies Grizzly 16 right continues to lead the way now, out in front by about 1.3 seconds between himself and the 61 right of Josh Peacock. Brad Lane there in third with Zach Michael and Nate Maurer rounding out our top 5 on the racetrack. As Jimmy Six Time says, yes, James, I'm a champion. Are you? He's a champion. He's a champion. Do you have Dylan Carrier racing? No, there's no Dylan Carrier out there here in this one. No Dylan Carrier here in this league, unfortunately. As Richard Bradshaw says, what the fog is going on? Let's go, Jason LeFan. He says, yeah, the fog is definitely a tough one. The fog is definitely tough. University, Northwest Ohio. Uno, motorsports school in the country. Okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I'm from Canada, so that's out of my jurisdiction right there. I don't know that one. James says, heard he is the fastest guy on the track around these parts. Come on, don't let Dylan Carrier know you said that. That's just going to make his head too big. It's already too big, but that's just going to make it even crazier. As you see a great battle out there on the racetrack here. Josh Peacock trying to hold on to position number 2, but he's got a good group of drivers right there on his back bumper, nipping at his heels, and that's exactly what Alex Pelican wants to see. He continues to pull away, continues to drive away from everyone else back here behind him as Josh Peacock, Brad Lane, Zach Michael, Nicholas Snyder, our top 5 out there on the Speedway. Door to door there for the 6th position as the DSR Electric ride, the 971, and Nate Maurer trying to take position in number 6 away from Mark Beverly. Beverly, though, battling hard on the outside. He's going to stay in that 6th position, and now here comes Austin Gustafson. Gustafson starting to put some pressure on these guys as well, trying to drive that Ally Silverado up and through the field here as he's up 6 positions, and Josh Ely, the Dirt Track Junkies, number 83 right, he's up into 9th. He's up 7 spots out there on the racetrack, so some early movers here at Pocono Speedway is Joshua Ledoux right there rounding out our top 10. Then we see Brian Chu, Brandon Domingue, both those drivers up 6 spots on the Speedway. Bobby Blair and his RidgePowerSports, KR Gutters, number 75 right back there in 13th with Cal Turbeville. He's there in 14th. Brandon Eastman back in that 15th position with Chris Gilbert there in 16th. Tyson Pankow, Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, Jason LePan, and John McCulloch rounding out our top 20 in that Pop Smoke 22. William Klein back there in position number 21 in his Dirt Track Junkies ride. And Koshersberger there in that Tech Warrior 19 ride rolls back in 22nd. Then we see K-Dub, Winker Nation, the Muleburger Custom Homes number number 42. Winker back there in 23rd with Matt Langley back there behind him in that W Energy, the Juke joint, number 78. Tim Blankenbeckler and Neil Lapidus, they're battling right there. A little contact as a pair of the Fritz Pence, a pair of the Juke joint rides back here, battling for position number 25. Looks like Tim Blankenbeckler will take that spot as Lapidus will slide back into 26 in that 26 ride for the OsuckOutdoors.com machine. And right there behind him, the RidgePowerSports 469, Ryan Peterson. Peterson back here in 27. A little farther back, we do see Kyle Van Tassel. There's Tassel on that RidgePowerSports number 13 with Nick Gardner in the Celsius number 27 back there in 29th. Jacob Group there in 30th with John Herbert and that 50 ride of Robert Howard bringing up the rear of the field. As now we do see this Kodak number 12 rider Brandon Eastman. Eastman gonna head down pit side. He's looking to get some work done to his car. Is Albert Anderson? What's good, Albert? Albert coming in, showing the love here with the hashtag Winker Nation there on the YouTube stream, coming in, showing the love there in that one. Is ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do it. Help us out here. It's absolutely free to do. Hit that like button on the stream, even if you're a rewatch of the broadcast, even if we're no longer live. Make sure you guys still help us out. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today as these drivers putting on another amazing show for us, each and every one of them, trying to hunt down that 16 ride of Alex Pelican. Is Pelican out in front by about 2.5 seconds here on a funky day in Pocono. As man, this is a crazy one. Is Craig Michael Deacon? What's good, Craiger? Craig coming in with the like on the stream. Kevin Winker, K-Dub himself coming in with that heart reaction over on Facebook. How are you? K-Dub, how are you, Craig? Hopefully you guys are having yourselves some great days here on this Tuesday afternoon, and no better place to be than out here on the racetrack battling, duking it out. And so far it's been clean and green, nothing but fun and nothing but hard racing out there on the Speedway. These drivers doing a fantastic job, but each and every one of them still trying to hunt down that number 16 machine, as he is a man on a mission here this evening with Brad Lane now up into second here. Peacock sliding back into fourth as Nicholas Snyder continues his march up towards the front of the field, started back there in position number 10, and now he finds that 5 right up inside the top 3, and he's all over the back bumper here of Brad Lane for position number 2 as Peacock back into 4th. Zach Michael there in 5th as Beverly, Josh Ely, Nate Maurer right there behind him as Josh Ely trying to take away another spot, continue his drive towards the front of the field as he looks to try to get around that DSR Electric 971 ride for position number 7. Gustafson and Joshua Ledoux continue to round out our top 10 here this afternoon with Brian Chu right there at 11th, Bobby Blair up into 12th, Cal Turbeville and Brandon Amang side by side down through corner number 2 and down into corner number 3 here at Pocono, as there is no turn 4. You'll see it up on the wall right about there. It is the what turn 4? There is no turn 4 here in Pocono. It is the tricky triangle. As Cheryl says, what's up, number 50? Let's go. Cheering on that 50 ride out there on the Speedway. How are you, Cheryl? How you doing this afternoon? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day. As Robert Howard a little deeper in the field here, unfortunately missed the start of this race. Was not out there on the racetrack for the first few laps and instantly fell a few laps down, and now just trying to recoup from that, trying to rebound and try to work his way back into the action. Unfortunately for John Herbert, he was down pit road there quite a little while as well, but he does find himself now at least a couple laps down here, so he's going to need to get a couple of caution flags, a couple wave arounds, and then we can start working on maybe getting Robert Howard back onto the lead lap, as well as right now this 12 rider Brandon Eastman did come down pit side on lap number 11. So this 12 ride has made a green flag pit stop here in this race already, and for all these drivers, it's going to be a part of this strategy. It's going to be a part of what you need to do, where you need to be out there on the racetrack to try to set yourself up here for a good finish. Set yourself up for a strong run out there on the racetrack, and it could be down to mainly fuel here. The tires, I don't think, are going to be massively, useful here. You might be able to get a little bit, but really, even after, what have we run now? 16 laps out there on the racetrack. We're about, what, a third of the way through this race almost. And tire fall off has been about a second so far for tire fall off, maybe a little bit over 1 second. So after you get 15, 20, maybe 30 laps on these tires, maybe then it's going to be really, really worth it. Maybe then you're really going to start to feel that tire wear and the pressure and everything else start to escape from them and needing to make a trip down pit lane. But for right now, it doesn't seem like the tire wear is going to be a major factor here in this race. And drivers are going to only have to make a couple pit stops here, it looks like. So having those extra sets back there behind pit wall going to make it pretty easy and breezy. And now we'll have to wait and see when drivers elect to start to come down pit road and make those green flag pit stops. So we do see the Jigs.com number 45 ride. That is Chris Gilbert. Gilbert coming down pit side here. He's going to get some fuel. He's going to get a set of tires put on, and he's going to roll back out there onto the racetrack. Unfortunately, he's all the way back now into 29th. He needs all these other drivers to have to come down pit road, have to make this green flag pit stop here this afternoon as the Grizzly 16 of Alex Pelican continues to lead the way. Brad Lane back there in second with Snyder there in third. Josh Peacock back in fourth with Mark Beverly rounding out our top five. And now Josh Ely up and into position number 6. Ely continuing to drive his way up towards the front of the field as we do see Zach Michael that time around. It's going to take that Cummins number 34 ride, that Rush Truck Centers machine down pit road, and now he's going to look to get some fuel and tires into his ride as that's going to try to size things up here. Drivers are going to have to be kind of on the edge of their seat on what they need to do, what the game plan is going to be out there on the speedway on this pit strategy. Drivers are probably more than likely, if the fuel can get them there, going to try to go somewhere around that lap 20 area, pit again somewhere around lap number 40, and then run it down to the end of this race. So really a 2 pit stop race here this afternoon for a lot of these drivers biting. We see a late race caution flag out there on the racetrack that could really mix things up, really make the strategy kind of get blown out the window, and seeing where drivers are going to elect to come down pit side and maybe get some work done. You can barely see those cars coming out of corner number 3 here at Pocono as we watch our race leader there at the front of the field as we do see Brian Chu head down pit road. Here comes Ed Kosherbergers. He's coming down pit side. Matt Langley, Neil Lapidus in the Ossack Outdoors Friends for Pets ride. He heads down pit lane. Same with Tim Blankenbeckler and his Friends for Pets. The Juke joint number 10 machine also down pit road here this afternoon. Matt Langley and that number 78, that W Energy Juke joint ride also down pit road here. So a lot more drivers that time around headed down pit side, but our race leader continuing to just pull away and try to open up a massive lead between himself and everybody else. And this time he's not coming down pit road, so he's going to stay out there for at least another lap as we start lap number 20 here this evening. So lap number 20 up and onto the board, but we see more drivers elect to come down pit side, and some of our front runners, Brad Lane, Nicholas Snyder, both down pit side, Brandon DeMing, Jason LePan, John McCulloch, they're all headed down pit road here this time around. So it looks like we've been seeing a lot of, 5 cars at a time, 5 trucks at a time, maybe 6 at a time, kind of coming down pit side and making these green flag pit stops. Now we do see that Pop Smoke 22 number 18 ride. That is the beautiful looking machine there of Jacob Grube. He's rolling back down pit road here, so he's going to get some fuel and tires onto his car. Now these drivers that had penalties early on in this race, they are still trying to just save and trying to figure out some strategy and hoping to see some caution flags. As here we go, our race leader Alex Pelican heads down pit side. So Pelican making that green flag pit stop. Our race leader down pit road going to hand that race lead over to Mark Beverly. Beverly going to stay up for at least another lap here on the racetrack as he's going to roll down and lead this race. Gustafson, Cal Turbeville, Bobby Blair, Tyson Pankow, Kevin Winker. Now our top 6 out there on the racetrack as we do see the caution flag fly. So the caution flag is going to come out now. That's going to really change the shape of this entire race. As let's take a look back here and see what happens as it's a tough break. We already saw that the number 1 of Brad Lane had come down pit road. Now just trying to get this car rocking and rolling, trying to get up to speed here as he's going to roll back out onto the racetrack. And I think just kind of going from the apron onto the racing surface, and the tire pressure's not built up high enough in that number 1 ride. Unfortunately, just getting onto the throttle down through corner number 2. He's going to go around and make heavy contact there with that inside fence. That's the it's such a bad spot, such a tough spot to go around right there. And unfortunately for the race line number 1 machine, not a whole lot he could do. Let's take a look back, see if we can jump on board here with him and see what he can see as he's just rolling out of pit lane here and finally being able to get back onto the throttle. Unfortunately, just it's such a tricky area right there, that conversion coming from the apron back onto the racetrack. And you can see that truck just kind of bent out of shape and on the apron, trying to get back onto the throttle, and there goes that rear end, just going to step out and around on him. And unfortunately couldn't get onto the binders quick enough. Truck slides down the racetrack, hard contact into that inside wall, and heavy damage there for him. He is down pit road, still trying to get that truck repaired, trying to get this thing fixed up, but his night may be potentially over after that hit. As let's get them stacked up, let's get them racked up and ready to go to battle. We are going to see potentially a lot of these drivers head down pit side looking to get some tires and fuel themselves. Other drivers have already made these pit stops, so it's going to really flip a lot of this stage. It's going to really make things a little bit more interesting, as that's going to give quite a bit more fuel and maybe a little bit better tires here to all these other drivers that have stuck it out, continue to roll out there on the racetrack and have yet to make these pit stops. And for some drivers, going to keep them a lap down out there on the racetrack is the 26 ride of Neil Lapidus. He's currently scored as the first car 1 lap down. I do believe he's going to be looking for that free pass. The lucky dog back onto the lead lap. Matt Langley, Tim Blankenbeckler, Nicholas Snyder even now a lap down as well in the 5 ride. Jacob Grube also a lap down out there on the Speedway. John Herbert, who's down pit side, multiple laps down. Brad Lane still off the racetrack, and Robert Howard multiple laps down as well, but at least going to gain another spot out there on the Speedway with Brad Lane down behind pit wall. As here you go, everyone else that was yet to come down pit side now making their way into their pit boxes, and it's going to bring a bunch of these other drivers as well. Some of these other cats that have already made pit stops, like Brandon Eastman. He's probably not going to put tires. Oh, looks like he's going to still put tires onto that car. He was one of the first drivers to come down pit side on lap number 11, so he's going to burn through an extra set of tires here this afternoon and make that additional pit stop, but now going to put him onto a little bit of a different strategy here as drivers roll back out onto the racetrack. It is the 34 ride of Zach Michael, who will now consume this race lead. Chris Gilbert back in second. Brian Chu there in third with Brandon Deming and Jason LePan rounding out our top 5. Ed Koshersberger back there in 6th with John McCulloch. Alex Pelican there in 8th, and then we see the number 971 of Nate Maurer in the number 61 of Josh Peacock rounding out our top 10, but I do believe we're going to see that 5 ride go to the rear of the field as he has still scored a lap down out there on the racetrack. So a tough break there for him as here we go. We'll get them stacked up. We'll get them racked up. We'll get ready to go back to green flag racing the next time around as these drivers get ready to go back to battle, to get ready to duke it out again here this evening. And now a little bit of different pitch strategy, a little bit of, fuel mileage potentially could become a factor in this race as we only got about 30 laps left to go when we go back to green flag racing. So that's going to mix things up. It's Shauna Rita. What's good, Shauna? Shauna coming in, showing the love. Says hashtag Winker Nation. Cheering on K-Dub out there on the speedways. K-Dub, he's been back and forth here. He's been trying to, roll a little bit of strategy again here tonight. He had to start at the back of the pack, unfortunately. Did not get a good qualifying lap in and has been trying to inch his way closer and closer to the front of the field here. Now after that pit stop and that pit cycle, I don't know if that helped him or hurt him, but looks like he's going to get restarted all the way back. Where is K-Dub out there on the speedway? I don't think K-Dub out there anymore. Where is he? There he is, 17th. 17th here for Kevin Wanker on this restart. So he's going to have a little work cut out for him. He's going to have to try to figure out a way to slide his way a little farther forward, see if he can put himself inside the top 10 here this evening. He's got some fast cats around him like Josh Ely there in that 83 ride. Joshua Ledoux right there as well. We see Ryan Peterson back there rounding out our top 20 with Will Klein there and his Dirt Track Junkies number 88. Brandon Eastman, Kyle Van Tassel, and a lot of these other drivers deeper in the field like Nick Gardner. Gardner definitely needed that caution flag as he unfortunately had to serve a penalty early in this race. Had to make that early, pass-through penalty down pit road. Went from the front of the field to the back of the pack, and unfortunately, he was way behind the race leaders. He needed that yellow flag to kind of bunch him back up, kind of get everyone back together, and now he's going to have to see if he can race his way through the traffic and up towards the front of the field as Lapidus did get that wave around Matt Langley and Tim Blankenbeckler also getting the wave arounds right there and allowing them to get back on the lead lap. But unfortunately for Nicholas Snyder, he is scored as the first driver, 1 lap down. Jacob Grew right there behind him, also a lap down out there on the racetrack. So for both of these cats, they're going to be battling here for that lucky dog, the free pass out there on the speedway. So we'll have to keep a close eye on those two and where they're going to line up if we see another caution flag here this afternoon. We went 20 laps without seeing a yellow flag. If we go another 20 laps, it's going to get us down to about 45 or so laps left to go. That's going to get us somewhere around, a 10-lap run, 15-lap run to the finish of this race. Here we go. Back to green flag racing here at the Tricky Triangle, powered by the RidgePowerSports group here. The RidgePowerSports coming on board, making this all happen here this afternoon. Huge shout out to them making this possible here. So can't thank them enough. As Zach Michael out in front leading this race, trying to keep all these drivers back there at base. Chris Gilbert there in second. Brian Chu up into third. Now some of these drivers at the front of the field had already made green flag pit stops. Their tires have a couple, maybe 2, 3, 4 laps older tires than everyone else that just came down pit road. So unfortunately they could be kind of a little bit slower. They could be dealing with some issues out there with these older tires. But for everyone else that has the fresh set on their race car, like Alex Pelican, who just came down pit side before that caution flag. Pelican, he's got some fresh tires, no green flag laps under his belt with this 16 truck, and he's quickly back up inside the top 5, but there's contact, and another caution flag is going to fly. A bit of chaos in a parking lot down here on the front stretch as Nick Gardner, Matt Langley, all tied up here in this one, and unfortunately for Jacob Group, he was not in that free pass position, as that's going to go to Nicholas Snyder. So Snyder going to get back onto the lead lap, but some heavy contact. A lot of drivers tore up here deeper in the field. Let's take a look back and see what happened, where this kind of all got started. Is it looks like potentially some contact here in front of John Herbert and Nick Gardner. As you watch Tim Blankenbeckler, yeah, right there. Oh man, Jacob Group gets tied up in it. He was technically in that free pass position, but unfortunately he was tied up in that caution flag, and that's a heartbreaker there for him. Let's see if we can take a look at it here, see if we can get another angle at this one, as a lot of these drivers just kind of nowhere to go out there on the racetrack. Heavy damage, a lot of tore up race trucks as the 12 comes off the wall, comes down into Joshua Ledoux. Ledoux nowhere to go, ends up getting right into that right rear quarter panel of the 18 ride of Jacob Group, sends Group up the speedway. He gets back into Ledoux and that 27 ride of Nick Gardner. Gardner nowhere to go. He slams down low into the 87 ride. That's a tough break there for John Herbert. Herbert getting more damage, tore up hard into the inside fence, and a bunch of tore up race trucks down here on the front straightaway. And unfortunately for these cats, definitely not the way they wanted things to go here in this one. As they're just trying to get through it. As you'll get a great look right here at this 12 ride, bounces it off the wall. Then the 38, they make more contact than everyone else, just kind of gets tied up into it. And hard contact there for Nick Gardner. Jacob Grube, a lot of these guys getting some very serious damage on their race cars, and unfortunately for some of them, gonna have to make multiple trips down pit road trying to get these cars repaired. And for some of these other cats, definitely gonna need to try and get something else figured out here. For there's the contact there for Grube, nowhere for him to go, bounces it down low, and up into the outside fence. That's where you also, or the inside fence, and that's where you see the 78 ride unfortunately get tied up in this one as well. Matt Langley sees it happen and sees the contact there on the outside, tries to get down low to avoid it. Unfortunately, these trucks just washed down the speedway right down into his lap. Heavy contact between him and that number 18 ride of Jacob Grube, and then heavy damage into the outside fence there as well. So the juke joint Friends for Pets number 78 getting some pretty solid damage there, as well as a bunch of carnage, a bunch of tore up race cars, and another caution flag out there on the speedway, making things very, very interesting. As Dalton Wicker, what's good, Wicker? Wicker says, peace, love the track tonight. Yeah, Pocono, it's a very, very fun racetrack. It is a very fun one. It really goes into the driver's hands. It's kind of multiple different racetracks kind of built all into one here, as a little bit of a write-up here on this one. Let's take a look here at it. So a little bit of track facts here at Pocono Speedway, which is always fun to see. So this is a diverse facility originally designed for Indy/champion cars by Dr. Joe Mattoli. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He was inspired by Bill France to build this racetrack and made it for that IndyCar, Formula One kind of stuff, and now it's mainly used for a lot of NASCAR racing, as Turn 1 is the former Trenton, New Jersey Speedway. So that's what that first corner is based off of. Corner 2, the tunnel turn, it's built off of, Indianapolis, and that's really what we see on one of those first corners there at Indianapolis, one of the first halves there, kind of going into the corners here at Indy. So it's really nice to see. And then the Milwaukee Mile is Turn 3, so that really flat, wide banking kind of a style of a corner there. So each of these corners have a lot of character, a lot of their own kind of unique way into it, and you can be really, really good in corner 1 and 2, could be really bad in corner number 3, or vice versa. Could be bad in 2, could be really good in 3 and corner number 1, and you can really have to just try to find that happy medium, really have to try to figure out your way out there. Turn 3 is Milwaukee. It is Milwaukee Mile for the Turn 3 corner there, and that's what really, just makes this track so much fun. Also has the longest and widest straightaways on the schedule in NASCAR. 3,740 feet long is the longest straightaway here. This front straightaway, 3,740 feet. The longest straightaway, even over Talladega and Daytona International Speedway. So that's really cool to see, and it's 100 feet wide. That is crazy. 100 feet wide, and that's where we see on a lot of these restarts. A lot of times we can see these drivers go, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide out there down into corner number 1 here. So that's a lot of fun. It's a very, very cool track. It's a very unique racetrack, and they call it the Tricky Triangle for a reason. It is very, very tricky to find a good race car or a solid race car in all 3 corners out there, because they're all built so differently. It's so hard to find the best balance for each and every corner, and drivers, they always got to kind of struggle with one corner or the other, and you make one corner a little bit better, you take away from one of the other corners, and if it's not one simple corner. It's not one simple racetrack. When we go to a track like Dover or let's say Kansas or something like that, a lot of the corners are a lot alike. They're built the same. They got the same banking. They got the same turn radius and everything else. So it makes it very, very easy to kind of work on the balance of the race trucks. But here at the Tricky Triangle, all 3 corners built very differently, and unfortunately, it's very, very tough to find a good setup and making your cars very, very good out there on the speedways. Here we go, back to battle here in this one. Is Zach Michael out in front, Chris Gilbert there in second, as these drivers ready to go back to battle, ready to duke it out here again in this one. You guys know what to do. If you guys haven't already, make sure you jump into the comment section, cheer on your favorite drivers right now. Let us know who you want to see up in victory lane, and make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button on the broadcast. Hit that thumbs up and cheer these drivers on. As here we go, back to Green Flag Racing here at Pocono Speedway. It is the Tricky Triangle here this evening, and each and every one of these drivers looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane as they want to win the Tricky Tri-Oval 55 presented by RidgePowerSports. here this afternoon, but there's some more contact back there deeper in the field. John Herbert running into problems. Now there's more contact. Caution flag going to come right back out. Some more chaos, some more mayhem here out there on the Speedway. Austin Gustafson, one of those drivers, going to get tied up here in this one. That ally, number 71, he's going to get turned around. We did see John McCulloch also tied up in that one, but we did see John Herbert, I do believe one of the first drivers to kind of go around a little deeper in the field. Let's take a look here at John Herbert as that truck already slideways on the racetrack, just rolling down low, looking to get some good speed out at corner number 1, and unfortunately for the 87, that rear end's just going to step out and around on him. He goes around. Luckily enough, everyone there able to avoid him, but not so lucky. A little farther forward, Gustafson, John McCulloch, these drivers getting tied up as they're 3 wide down and out at corner number 1 on the racetrack, and things just get tight for them. Unfortunately, looks like oh, right there. Actually, in front of the 71 truck. Now, I think he reacts to it, sees the contact as John McCulloch right here. He's going to go around over the nose of the 75 ride. See if we can get another look at this one. So he's trying to clear the 75. The 75 trying to make the pass to his inside. It's a big run right there. Then they make contact. Around goes that 21. Hard contact into the inside fence. And right there behind him, that's where we see this 71 truck. He gets a good look at it. He sees this happening. He tries to get down and out of the way. Unfortunately, as he comes down the racetrack, that 83 machine already down to his inside, goes down over the nose of him, and oh yeah, just trying to get down out of the way there. Unfortunately, gets into it, and with the 83 machine of, I believe that is Josh Ely, who's going to get tied up there. The first contact, and then the other dirt track junkies ride the 61 of Josh Peacock. He gets turned around, and Peacock slides down the racetrack, and he's just trying to hope everyone else gets through here. No one else runs into him as he tries to bank it there off the wall. Luckily enough, gets it pointed back in the right direction. And his Chevrolet, very minimal contact, but still enough to probably come down pit side here. Let's see if we can get another look. Let's see if we can jump right on board here with the 61 right as he's just trying to roll through the corner, trying to roll down the back straightaway here. And unfortunately, there's contact in front of him. He gets checked up to avoid that spinning 21 right. Does a great job at avoiding it, and good recognition there to roll out of the throttle. Unfortunately, gets him tore up there behind him and turned around right there. See if we can jump on board Bobby Blair. Is Bobby Blair going to be the first one? Gets this big run. Jumps to the middle right here. Then unfortunately just makes that contact between him and McCulloch and spins McCulloch around down over his nose and brings that caution flag back out. So another yellow flag, another opportunity for drivers to head down pit road as we see Mark Beverly, Peacock, Brandon Deming, Nate Maurer, Bobby Blair, Nick Garner, Ryan Peterson. A lot of these drivers headed down pit side, making sure they get some work done to their race cars, as I do believe Robert Howard going to get the free pass, the lucky dog right there, and at least get a lap back here this afternoon, as I do believe Jacob Grube and Brad Lane have both taken their cars off of the racetrack. So tough break there for both of those drivers, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. As once again, we do apologize for the fog here. The fog is very, very wild here this afternoon, man. The visibility is very tough out there on the Speedway, and where some of these cameras are angled and where they're pointed, it's very, very tough. You get some weird angles, some weird glares off these cars, and trust me, it's burning my eyes out, man. It is bright, it is light, it is hurting my retinas up here in the broadcast booth, but nonetheless, we're gonna battle through. We're gonna continue to see some great racing action as we are well over halfway through this race and only about 24 more laps left to go. And as we go back to green flag racing, probably going to be about 22 laps left here in this race, as we'll get a quick word in here from our sponsors over at Friends for Pets.
Friends for Pets! Pens! Forward, Pens!
Alrighty, as we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here from the Tricky Triangle with the HCK Beagles in the Tricky Tri-Oval 55 here this afternoon, presented by RidgePowerSports. Each and every one of these drivers looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane, but out in front, it is the 34 machine. That is the Rush Truck Center's ride, the Cummins machine of Zach Michael. Michael leads the way with Brian Shu there in second. Alex Pelican back up inside the top three as he looks to try to get back to the front of the field, looks to take this race lead back away. Jason LePan up and into position number 4 and looking for more with his Tech Warrior teammate right there behind him. That is the 19 ride of Ed Koshersberger rounding out our top 5. Cal Turbevale back there in 6 with Josh Ely, Tyson Pankow, Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, and William Klein rounding out our top 10 on the Speedway. Neil Lapidus, Tim Blankenbeckler, John McCulloch, Mark Beverly, and Brandon DeMay rounding out our top 15 as we are back to battle here at Pocono as Zach Michael leads us down the very long front straightaway here. 3,740 feet the distance there on that front stretch, and now down through that first corner on the racetrack, and we see more carnage back there behind them. A couple more drivers tied up, turned around. John McCulloch, one of them. I don't know if we're going to see the caution flag come out or not, or we're going to stay clean and green. No, yellow flag back out on the racetrack. So another caution flag. Cautions breeding cautions here this afternoon, and this time looks like John McCulloch going to run into problems again. Has that rear end damage still on the 21, and unfortunately, as he sends it into the corner, trying to carry all that speed, that rear end damage is just going to be too much here. Loses the rear end. The truck just steps out and around on him, unfortunately. Slides up the racetrack, and nowhere to go here for Josh Peacock. Peacock slams right into him right there. Heavy damage for Josh Peacock. Heavy damage for the 21, and here comes that RidgePowerSports KR Gutters 87 ride of Mr. John Herbert, as well as John trying to just race his way back onto the lead lap, trying to work himself into a solid finish here this evening. And unfortunately now, more carnage, more damage there for that 87 ride. Let's jump on board here. Let's take a look with McCulloch as he rolls down the front straightaway into corner number 1, and then watches this truck just steps out, goes around, and unfortunately, nothing he can do right here. That rear end damage just too much and carrying too much speed here, and yeah, just sends it in there. There goes that rear end. Just going to step out and around. Oh, man. Luckily enough, a lot of these drivers able to get by. There was a lot of fast cats back there that could have got tore up in a quick hurry and could have ended their nights in a quick hurry. As unfortunately, I do believe John Herbert potentially still rolling out there on the racetrack. We did see Joshua Ledoux still out there as well in his 38 truck, and we see Brandon Eastman still rolling out there as McCulloch down pit side getting some extensive repairs done to his truck, and Josh Peacock, luckily enough, even with that damage, still rolling out there himself in that Triple J Motorsports, that 09 laser engraving 61, the Dirt Track Junkies machine. Now he's going to head down pit road. He's looking to get some extensive repairs done. That truck is very hurt out there on the Speedway, and he'll get ready to go back to battle here. As we're going to get a quick break in here, I'm going to get a quick word in as, hey, it's Kev says, only 24 today to go. I looked away and it's almost over, laugh out loud. Unfortunately, yeah, it's almost over, brother. They go by very quickly. But listen, even if you know we're done this race, it's over and everything else, you can go back and watch all of our old broadcasts, man. There's so many broadcasts up there that that you can go back and watch and enjoy. I don't know how many there are, but there is a ton, man. I don't know how many we got over here on YouTube that you can go back and rewatch. We got 731 videos. Gotta be like at least 700 live broadcasts that you can go back and enjoy, man. So there's always action. There's always something cool you can watch. You can go back through and watch, you know, to your heart's galore, man. That's 700 videos. That's, I don't even know, man. Probably, I don't even know. What would that be? 2,000 hours probably of content or better. You know, there's a lot of time of me up here in the broadcast booth putting on shows, and there used to be even more, but some of them got copyright, had to get deleted, and some of them were just a little too old, got rid of them, and keeping them with the new ones. As Tower Operator says, Winker Nation, let's go, baby. Hashtag Winker Nation up in the chat, says Tower Operator. Hank Skip says, always rewatch the ones I do well in. Laugh out loud. There you go, there you go. Always some good ones right there. Happy birthday, Shauna. It's Shauna's birthday. Shauna didn't let me know that it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Shauna. Happy birthday. Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful birthday and enjoying some great racing actions here in this one. Hey, Skip says, the ones I get wrecked out or wreck myself, I'm too embarrassed to watch after. I guess, but hey, those are good ones to look back on and see, you know, what you did right, what you did wrong, and where you need to improve or what you need to do to try to maybe make things a little bit better for yourself out there, brother. So maybe that's something that you can look into and start watching some of those back and seeing some of the other stuff. As I think we're actually about to get ready to go back to green flag racing here. These drivers are ready to roll. They're ready to duke it out here once again this afternoon as the lights are off the official iRacing pace truck, and that means, you know what, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys know what to do. Crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers as we get ready to crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. So crank up that volume, cheer your favorite drivers on, and let's crank it up here on this Tuesday afternoon at the Pocono Speedway. Here at the Tricky Triangle, it is the Tricky Oval, Tri-Oval 55, powered by RidgePowerSports in the HCK Beagles Truck Series, and we're gonna crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna find a driver back here. Let's see if we can jump on board with the let's go with the 5 rider, Nicholas Snyder. Actually, let's go with Bobby Blair in that RidgePowerSports 75 ride. We're going to jump right on board here and go up through the gears and around the racetrack here for our first opening lap, and then we'll go through some of the amazing sights and sounds here at Pocono Speedway as we go back to green flag racing. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume, cheer these drivers on, as here we go, back to battle here at Pocono. Oh gosh, what's happened? Something's happened, chat. Uh-oh. Paused. There we go. There we go. I was wondering what was going on. There we go. We're back. you go. There's our race leader down to the bottom left. That is Josh Ely having to make a green flag pit stop here late in this race. Played that pit strategy, tried to stay up there a little bit longer. Unfortunately, giving up all that track position now at the back of the pack here as he's going to go down pit road. And all these drivers that have been down pit road a couple times, showing some of those caution flags. Now out in front as Brandon Domingue going to take over the race lead. Domingue now leads the way here in this one. So Brandon out in front only by a couple car lengths as Nicholas Snyder right there on his back bumper, looking to try to take away this race lead late in the race as Mark Beverly there in third. Chris Gilbert back there in fourth with Zach Michael rounding out our top five on the racetrack. But Zach Michael, he's got his work cut out for him as Nate Maurer right there as well. Maurer looking to just drive right around his outside and take position number 5 away from him. Austin Gustafson having a good run. He's got that 71 right up in 7th as Nick Gardner back there behind him. Bobby Blair there in 9th, and Cal Turbeville rounding out our top 10. Jason LePan back there in position number 11. Out there on the Speedway, Alex Pelican there behind him in position number 12. Pelican, who was our early race leader, looked like this grizzly Bucky's ride was hooked up and looked like it was potentially bound for victory lane here this afternoon. Unfortunately, he's got some pretty significant rear end damage. Looks like someone's really gotten into the back end of that 16 truck, and I think that's really affected his handling here late in this race. And no late race caution flag so far, really making things that much more interesting as Nathaniel Osterwizki back there in 13th. K-Dub Kevin Waker rounding at our top 14 with Ed Koscherberger right there in position number 15. Then Ryan Peterson in 16th. Will Klein, Brian Chu, Josh Ely back there in 19th here as Brian Chu, Josh Ely all have come down pit road here late in this race. Same with Neil Lapidus in the Osaka Outdoors number 26 ride. Brandon Eastman, he's back in 21st with Tim Blankenbackler. Tyson Pankow still down pit road here as he's getting ready to roll back out onto the racetrack. Unfortunately here for Tyson, he's went a lap down here. Same with Joshua Ledoux in that 38. John Herbert a lap down back in 25th with Robert Howard, Josh Peacock, Matt Langley, John McCulloch, Kyle Van Tassel, Jacob Grube, and Brad Lane rounding out our field here this evening. As late in this race, the battle's on as they have made quick work of that number 77 ride. As unfortunately here, we do see Brandon Ming all the way back now in position number 10. Has ran into some issues here in the final few laps of this race. And unfortunately for the 77, finds himself back now in that 10th position as Nicholas Snyder out in front and leading the way here with almost 3/4 of a second between himself and Chris Gilbert. As Gilbert right there in position number 2, trying to track him down. Mark Beverly, he's looking to try to take position number 3, or trying to hang on to position number 3 here as Zach Michael works to his outside. Michael there in that 4th position. The Cummings Rush Truck Centers machine trying to join us up here on the podium this afternoon is Bobby Blair now running out our top 5 as a couple more drivers there did come down pit road, and we're going to have to wait and see if all these drivers can make it on fuel. I do believe they should be able to make it, but it could get very, very close, or a caution flag could really mix things up. And unfortunately for the 71 ride, he's going to go around. He's going to run into some problems. Austin Gustafson already taking his car off the racetrack, but for Austin, more issues out there on the Speedway here. Let's see if we can take another look. Let's see if we can get an angle at this one as Gustafson trying to work himself around the 77 there. I don't know if he made contact beforehand. This truck is already slow. Or maybe he runs out of fuel. Oh man, that could have been huge. If he runs out of fuel right here, it looks like he just washed up the racetrack. Truck just starting to lose power. 77, all these drivers just going to roll right on around him here. He's slow up there against the outside fence. Going to pull it down to the inside, and looks like he's just going to get stopped on the Speedway. I do believe potentially fuel issues here for that Ally 71 machine, and in this race, that's going to really mix things up here. We'll have to wait and see if drivers elect to come down pit road, or if other drivers that have already made those green flag pit stops can cycle their way back to the front of the field. This is going to be really a game-time decision. A lot of these drivers could be very, very close on fuel, and now having to potentially go to a little bit of NASCAR overtime. That's gonna be tough here. As Matt says, well, that was trash. Solo crash. Oh yeah, the tough one right there. Tough one right there. Only one driver having an issue there. Always a tough one out there on the speedways. Alan Creasy. Alan says, let's go Tim Blankenbackler, cheering on Timmy out there on the Speedway as Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You came here for a show. Well, here you go, a late race caution flag to mix things up here this evening, to make things that much more exciting, that much more fun here this afternoon. And it's gonna be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, as there's some drivers that have already made a green flag pit stop there, about 4 or 5 laps ago. When you look back deeper in the field, now it's going to be a game-time decision for a lot of these other drivers to whether or not they want to come down pit side or not, get those fresh tires. Here we go. You do see Zach Michael. He's going to come down pit road. Here comes Mark Beverly, Nate Maurer, Nick Gardner, Brandon Domingue, Alex Pelican, Jason LePan, Nathaniel Osherwisky, K-Dub, Kevin Winker heads down pit side. Here comes Ryan Peterson and Kosherberger. And then we see William Klein, Neil Lapidus, Tim Blankenbeckler, Brandon Eastman, all these drivers headed down pit road. And now we are going to see Brian Chu, who already came down pit road there on lap 47, and Josh Ely, who came down pit road on lap 48. Now, they're going to have better tires than the 4 cars in front of them when we look through the field. Last time down pit road, Nicholas Snyder pitted on lap 31, Chris Gilbert back on lap 31, Bobby Blair came down pit road on lap 32. Cal Turbeville was last down pit lane on lap 35, so having those 10, 15, almost 20 lap older tires than all these drivers, the couple drivers back there behind him with Brian Chu and Josh Ely. And now we do see the other cats that have all came down pit side being led by Zach Michael and Nate Maurer. They're right there behind him as well. Going to get restarted in position number 7, 8, 9, and 10. Is it going to come down to the tires? Is it going to come down to track position and being out in front late in this race? It could be the winning strategy, or it could be, your bend that you made, and it could be the worst case scenario for you if these fresher tires can just steamroll right around you and put you back there deep in this field. We'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. For Nicholas Snyder, he's hoping that's going to play out perfectly for him. But for Brian Chu and Josh Ely, who had already made those green flag pit stops, had ended up running probably about 3 or 4 laps there. So they got a little bit older tires than the cars back behind them that just came down pit lane. But it's going to be an interesting one. They may have enough time if they can work themselves through the traffic and up through the front 4 quick enough and have those top 4 kind of split up and make it tougher for the guys back there behind them. Maybe not enough time for those fresher tires to really get the benefactor of being able to just drive around the 51 or the 83 machine. And it's gonna be exciting, chat. It's gonna be exciting, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we come here for. That's what we want to see. We want to see the excitement. We want to see that driving everyone just on their edge of their seats, on their tippy toes, and ready for what could be our final restart of the day here this afternoon. As this is potentially our final restart. If we do see that caution flag come back out before the white flag, then we will stack them up, we will rack them up, and we will do it all over again. But if that white flag is displayed, these drivers will get one more lap around the speedway no matter what. Even if they're wrecking, there's multiple crashes, if they're on the racetrack on that final lap, it's not going to matter. There will be no caution flags on the final lap, so these guys, they're racing back to that white flag. They want to make sure that they can get this race into the history books, knowing that they don't want to have more caution flags, more of these restarts, and potentially more carnage where they could get tied up and taken out and having a bad finish here this afternoon. And especially for those drivers at the front of the field, the fuel could be very, very tight for them. They may be down to only a couple gallons left in the tank, and a couple more of these yellow flags means a little bit more fuel that they're going to burn up, maybe having to force their hands and come down pit side, and that's going to put them all the way back at the rear of the field, and unfortunately no track position out there on the speedway late in this race. So for them, they want to see it clean and green. As Tyler Humphrey says, oh man, the fog is pretty rough. The fog is very, very rough here this afternoon. We've been dealing with it. We've been dealing with it. Trust me, I feel for every one of the viewers. I feel for the drivers. You guys got to feel for me up here in the booth, man, because it's tough on my eyes, man. I've been staring into this white fog for an hour and a quarter already, man. It is very, very bad. Hope the fuel comes into play. The fuel could definitely come into play. As here we go, back to green flag racing as quickly the 5 line of Nicholas Snyder onto the loud pedal. He's looking to just try to launch and drive away with this one, as everyone back there behind him looks to try to make some moves, looking to try to race their way up to the front of the field. We'll see them try to split out here and go a little 2-3 wide, as some fresh tires back there deeper in the pack trying to race their way towards the front of the field here as they're trying to split and trying to make their way up. But we do see some contact, and the caution flag is going to come back out. You see the 16 of Alex Pelican, the 42 of Kevin Winker. They're down into the inside fence there. Minimal damage for the Winker Nation Muhlenberger Custom Homes 42 ride. But for that Grizzly number 16 machine, Alex Pelican there, unfortunately some pretty solid damage for him as we take a look back and see this truck. Looks like he's just trying to push the subject a little bit too hard here. Gets onto the throttle a little too soon. The truck just kicks out and goes around on him. Good piece of driving there by the 77 to get checked up and avoid contact there himself. And unfortunately for K-Dub, kind of just follows him right on through with that one. Actually, maybe already a little sideways here himself. And it's like he just sees that, just kind of same spot right there. Unfortunately, both drivers go around, luckily enough. Minimal contact there for the 42, but very good contact for that 16 machine as it's going to bring the caution flag back out. Another green flag restart here. Another restart for these drivers to deal with, and now it is it's a bit of a head scratcher here. What do you do? What do you do? Your bet's kind of already been made. If you're one of those guys that are out in front, like Nicholas Snyder, Chris Gilbert, Cal Turbeville, Bobby Blair even, you're in that bed. You've already you've already made that decision, and unfortunately, it's gonna be very, very interesting here. Like, you can't come down pit road unless if you're virtually not gonna make it on fuel and your hand is forced to come down pit side. But if you can still make it here on another restart, then I think you gotta stay out. You can't bite the bullet and come down pit road now. You're not going to have enough time to even salvage a decent run, a decent finish, as everyone back there behind you is going to stay out. They don't need to come back down pit lane. They have fresh tires. They've been down pit road multiple times. They don't have to come back down pit side here in this one, but it's going to be interesting here. I don't know how they're going to play this one out. And for Joshua Ledoux, that was good news for him in the 38 ride, that Dirt Track Junkie 09 laser engraving ride, the Triple J machine there of Joshua Ledoux. He is back in the free pass position, so it looks like he is going to get that wave around and at least get another lap back. But I do believe he is potentially multiple laps down back there in that number 38 ride. So you see K-Dub, Kevin Winker, he's coming back down pit side. He's looking to get some repairs done to that Muhlenberger Custom Homes Sonic Graphic Design Chevrolet, and Alex Pelican going to come down pit road as well, looking to get that Bucky's Grizzly Celsius number 16 kind of fixed up out there as well. But for Snyder, Chris Gilbert, a lot of these drivers, man, they're staying out, but we did see actually a couple of them come down pit side. Bobby Blair looked like fuel was maybe a little too close for him. He came down pit road, and for Cal Turbeville, I don't see him down pit road, but I don't see him on the racetrack anymore in that 64 ride. So I'm not sure what's happened to Cal, but looks like he's still in that car right off the racetrack. That's a heartbreaker there for that 64 ride. Hopefully we see him jump back out there and hopefully still be in his position as, hey, it's Kev's, man, that fog is bad on certain angles. Laugh out loud. It is very bad. Certain angles are very, very tough, man. It is awful. And, hey, it's Kev says, no, Winker. Yeah, unfortunately, Winker and the Winker Nation crew see that 42 ride go around, and Tyler Humphrey says, can we get a cockpit view? Want to see how bad the fog is from in-car? In-car is not too bad. If we look at our fifth place driver here, Nate Maurer, in-car really isn't too bad. It's not awful. Like, you can definitely see drivers out there on the racetrack, even if you go back to a driver like this is Bobby Blair. He scored back in 19th. He's going to be behind some of these lap down traffic cars. You can virtually see majority of the way down the straightaway here. Obviously, if you're down through the corner, it gets a little tougher. You can just see that pace truck there going through. It's definitely not too bad from this perspective. From behind the wheel, it ain't too bad, but I'm up here in the broadcast booth through some of these camera angles. It gets very, very tough out there on the speedway. It's very tough to see, some of these different drivers, their number plates or anything else. Now we do see more drivers head down pit side. Josh Ely's coming down pit road. Here comes Nicholas Snyder. He can't make it. Either can Chris Gilbert as they come down pit road. Ely coming back down pit side here as well. Now that's a surprise to me. Ely should have had enough fuel in that truck, but maybe he only took enough fuel just to get him to the end of the race as he had to make that green flag pit stop. And unfortunately, he's down pit road again here himself. Tyson Pankow, Jason LePan also coming down pit road. And that's going to make things very, very interesting here. That's going to make things A little bit more fun is up in front, now leading this race in the number 51 machine. That is that TRD Pro machine, the Toyota ride of Brian Juke. Juke now leading this race. Nate Maurer there in second. Zach Michael up into the third. Then we see Mark Beverly, the 27 ride of Nick Gardner, Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, Brandon Domingue, Ryan Peterson, Ed Koschersberger, and William Klein rounding out our top 10 as we just saw a lot of drivers inside our top 5 head back down pit road here. So they finally had to bite the bullet and come down pit lane as Humphrey says, yeah, not too bad, but seeing the corner is hard. Yeah, seeing the corner is a little tougher. Seeing the corner is a little tougher. It's always tough here at this racetrack, but for the most part, yeah, it's tough to really see out there on the Speedway. The fog has definitely been a wild one. I don't know why it's so foggy. Obviously, one of the settings that they used obviously made things a little chaotic here this afternoon. Obviously, one of those settings, whether it's the humidity or the track, the temperature outside or whatnot here, definitely makes it very, very foggy. And unfortunately, the fog hasn't lifted at all. The fog has not lifted at all here this afternoon. I was hoping that maybe, halfway through this race or after the first couple of handfuls, it would get a little bit easier to see as turn 4 is the hardest to see. Yeah, turn 4 is impossible. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is out there on the racetrack. Because here we go. Back to Green Flag Racing here at the Tricky Triangle here this afternoon. It is the Tricky Triangle in the beautiful HCK Beagles Truck Series as another green-white checkered finish as Brian Juke out in front. It's a great launch. Leads us down into corner number 1. Looking to clear everybody and try to open up a bit of a gap back here as he wants to find himself up in victory lane. Nate Maurer and Zach Michael trying to hunt him down as we're clean and green out of corner number 1. We'll head down into the tunnel turn here in corner number 2. At the Tricky Triangle is down through corner number 2 they go. A big run right there for the 51 and allowing himself to kind of truck length or 2 between himself and that DSR electric ride and Nate Maurer. But Maurer trying to put that pressure onto the 51 machine. Now taking a look down to his inside. The 51 rolls the middle. The 971 right there on his back bumper as we are clean and green and back down across the line. We will see that white flag fly. So one more time around here this afternoon, no matter what, these drivers are going to see that checker flag fly the next time by the start finish line. As Brian Juke and Nate Maurer duking it out here at the front of the field. They got a couple truck lengths between themselves and our third place driver there, Zach Michael. As here we go, some big moves, some big blocks as drivers trying to figure out the best way to send it down into corner number 2 here, the tunnel turn for the final time this afternoon as Juke trying to hold on to it. Nate Maurer trying to take it away from him as they battle. Here comes the rest of the field. Here comes Zach Michael. Here comes Mark Beverly and Nick Gardner. They're right into that battle now as well as Maurer down low gets a big run into corner number 3 in the final time down the front straightaway here at Pocono Speedway. It's a drag race back to the line, but it's Brian Juke who will hang on and pick up the checkered flag here this afternoon at the Tricky Tri-Oval 55 presented by RidgePowerSports. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race leader as Brian Juke takes a bite out of the field and parks himself up and into victory lane here in this one, man. What a run and what a drive there for this 51 machine of Brian Juke as Juke leading this race on that final restart into the hold off. I do believe what is his teammate there in that 971 and Nate Maurer, and Zach Michael able to come home in position number 3 there as well. Great run for him. And then final lap for Nick Gardner. Gardner comes home in position number 4, and it was the fastest lap of this race. That final lap of the evening for Nick Gardner was the fastest lap out of anybody, over everybody. It was the quickest lap of this race there on lap number, I do believe it is 58, 59 laps that we've completed here tonight with the late race caution flags and the NASCAR overtime as it's scheduled for 55. It goes a little bit longer, a couple green-white checkers here, a couple attempts at NASCAR overtime, and it comes down to a final lap battle between teammates out there on the racetrack. Is Brian Juke able to find himself up into victory lane, celebrates there on the front straightaway. Now going to get ready to jump up into the broadcast booth for his post-race interview, man. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for these drivers, man. Great race, great run, great performance by each and every one of these competitors here this afternoon. And for some of those cats that were up in front there late in this race, had to make those late race pit stops, like Josh Ely and Tyson Pankow, Chris Gilbert, Nicholas Snyder, they all finished deep in this field back in 17th, 20th, 21st there for Nicholas Snyder, man. Those are some tough finishes for some very fast cats out there on the Speedway. Definitely going to be a tough one for them this afternoon as we'll get ready to pull our top three up and into the booth here this evening for their post-race interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Brian Juke. Hey, Brian, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yeah, my man. How are you doing?
Not too bad, Brian, man. What a run. What a race, man. Take us back through this one as you're finally able to find yourself back up in victory lane here in the HCK Beagles Truck Series as you find the dub here this afternoon at Pocono Speedway. But you had to earn it as your teammate Nate Maurer all over your back bumper trying to take that win away from you, but not giving it up, not letting him steal it from you, and you're able to beat him back down across the line here at Pocono, man. Take us back through this race and what's going through your mind right now as you're up there in victory lane.
Yeah, it's been kind of a long time coming here. Last season, I should say. A lot of close calls. I kind of started getting up through to the top finishes later in the year, so it's nice to finally break through and get one. It really was just all about timing at cautions, because once I had track position, I didn't want to give it up. So we got to the fuel window, and I decided to stay out, thinking that there are going to be more cautions. So I had to pit because I had no fuel left, and I don't know, a few laps ago, I'm back there in like 18th place, and all I'm thinking is, well, there better be a caution or I really screwed this one up. And fortunate, there was a caution, and I was able to stay out with just a couple lap tires. That was good enough for when those guys did pit to take the freshies. But it was fun battling Nate. I mean, quick little story on Nate. Me and him are really good buddies now, and we go to Pocono every year and camp in the infield. So it's funny how we finish 1-2 at Pocono iRacing when we're always camping at the reality Pocono. So it was fun racing Nate. Nate could have got me for sure. I think he could have been a little bit more rough with me, but playing the nice teammate deal and friend game, and was able to hold him off. And I'm glad we got a 1-2 finish, and Brandon 7th place. So it was a good team night.
And definitely a great team night for you. And as you said, you come here, every year with the NASCAR crew and watching these guys from the infield. Now the virtual fans in the stands get to watch you guys duke it out here this afternoon and putting on a heck of a show there late in this race. But take us back through some of the strategy calls out there. Obviously, a lot of different calls, a lot of different plans for certain drivers. And we look back at like Nicholas Snyder and Josh Ely, some of these guys that were on the older tires, on the older pit strategies, and unfortunately they're late in the race having to come down pit sign during these green-white checkers and having to come down pit road during these caution flags. And unfortunately for them, not the run that they wanted, but for you, it just opens up the door for you there late in this race to be out in front for that final restart and getting that jump, getting that launch in just enough to keep your teammate and the rest of this field back there at bay.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually shocked. I knew they were close on fuel because, I mean, the guys, Brandon and Nate, were telling me that these guys are going to be super tight on the fuel. So when we were going to come down back to take the green or one to go on that last restart, I think 3 of them ducked in. Now, Ely, I was shocked because Ely pit 1 lap after I did. He was on the same strategy as me. The only thing I could think of is he just didn't put enough fuel when he took his stop. I took plenty of fuel when I took my stop, so I was 15 laps into the good. But I was definitely shocked to see them all duck down pit road, and to have the clean air was key here. I mean, it's just like real life racing. Once you get that clean air, especially here at Pocono, you're able to it just drives so much better, man. So, yeah, strategies worked in my favor this time. I mean, last week or whenever we were at Iowa, I got pretty much screwed on that strategy deal when Winker kind of stayed out and I could never get my lap back. So I think the gods owed it to me this week to get one back. So it's, like I said, it's been kind of a long time coming to get this dub here in HCK Beagles League, and I'm happy to get it here at Pocono, which, like I said, me and Nate get to go to this race all the time, so it's kind of even cooler to have that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost a home track feel to it here for you, Brian, as you're able to park it up in Victory Lane here at Pocono Speedway, man. Who'd you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the Speedways? Yeah, pick up the win here at Pocono.
Yeah, Brandon Deming and Nate Maurer, my buddies at in our team tonight, just great run for the team, and I love racing with these guys every week. Thank everyone in the league. Thank you for doing the broadcasts. They're great. I appreciate your work. For Greg and everyone up in the admin booth, or Kevin and Ryan and everyone that has to run it every week. Appreciate those guys. And yeah, it's fun, and I'm glad I got a little bit point night tonight, and we'll come back next week, see if we can do it again.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack and looking forward to see this 51 ride once again back up here and in Victory Lane in the future. Brian, congrats on the win. Congrats on the great race. And hopefully we see you back up here very, very soon.
You got it, my man. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Brian Chu, as Chu picks up the dub and gets the win here this evening at a very funky Pocono Speedway. But now we'll pull in our second place finisher, who was so close to take some victory here himself. It's Nate Maurer. Maurer coming home in position number 2. Let's get him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Nate, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Take a copy.
Yeah, buddy, how you doing? I got you.
Not too bad, Nate, man. A strong run, a great race here for you all night long, even with some of that strategy call and everything else. You're late in this one. You're right there within striking distance. You're trying to figure out a way to beat your teammate Brian Chu, but not, get someone else into the mix where they can steal this win away from both of you, as you guys just wanted to duke it out between the two of you, and you're right there door to door down at a quarter number 3 and almost finding Victory Lane to steal this one away from Brian Chu.
Yeah, I don't want to say I let him win, but I had a big run off of 2, and I just let off the gas and kind of messing with them. I said I'll try sliding you in 3. But no, fun race. Yeah, a whole bunch of different strategy calls there, and I just happened. Definitely wasn't the fastest truck tonight, but one of the smarter ones, I guess. Just being lucky there and making the right pit calls to put us in a position here to finish. Ju wasn't sure what to do earlier when a lot of the guys pitted and he stayed out. And I told him he might get lucky with that caution, and he ended up pitting, and it worked out for him. So great racing though up until the last, 15, 20 laps, and it was a caution fest after that.
Yeah, we had a couple really good long green flag runs there, and then kind of cautions breeding cautions there throughout the middle, and then there towards the end, and just making it a little bit more exciting out there, a little bit more spicy out there on the racetrack here at a funky Pocono Speedway this afternoon. As she was saying, you and a lot of these guys, you come here to Pocono on a regular basis for the NASCAR Cup Series and get to hang out down in the infield and everything else. So a bit of a home track feel for Chu and potentially yourself and the rest of the team here, really helping you guys out to get some solid finishes this afternoon.
Oh yeah, me and Chu will be camping up here together in a few weeks up here at Pocono. So yeah, me and Chu just aren't iRacing buddies. We're good buddies in real life too. But just want to say congrats to him. Congrats to Zach for finishing 3rd. It was a fun race tonight.
Absolutely, brother. Nate, is there anyone else you'd like to thank here this afternoon for such a great run, a great performance here in your second place drive?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody that makes this thing happen. I was gone for a couple weeks. I was pretty sick. But we're back now, still in the top 20 in points somehow. And thanks to you, buddy, up there calling this race. Just thanks to all the sponsors and for everybody showing up here to make this thing happen.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Nate, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack next Tuesday, and hopefully right back up here on the broadcast booth yourself. Maybe this time one spot better over Chu, your teammate, and maybe taking the win away from him.
Thanks, bud. It won't be next week. I sucked at that track, but have a good week, buddy.
Absolutely, you as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Nate Maurer. Maurer coming home there in position number 2. Solid run, solid drive there for him, as we'll look to see if we can pull in our third place finisher here, Zach Michael. Now, I don't see Zach in the waiting room. I don't know if we're going to see him in the Discord or not. I don't see him in there, so unfortunately, doesn't look like we get the third place finisher interview here this afternoon, but shout out there to Zach Michael. Michael coming home there in position number 3 here this afternoon. Very solid run, very great, good drive there from that 34 run. We saw him leading some laps here today. We saw that Rush Trucking Centers machine just having a solid performance all day long, and backs it up with a solid third place finish here in the tricky Tri-Oval 55 this afternoon, presented by RidgePowerSports. We can't thank RidgePowerSports for being the sponsor here on tonight's racing. We can't thank all of our sponsors week after week after week for always coming in, making these amazing shows happen, making them possible, and being a part of the family here with the HCK Beagles. So we can't thank them enough. They've been going and showing up there in the far, I guess that'd be the right-hand side, left-hand side of the screen. Way over there is all of our amazing sponsors here at the HCK Beagles, and we can't thank each and every one of them enough for being a part of the show here and a part of the family here with the HCK Beagles. And huge shout to each and every one of those. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for us here this afternoon. I'm going to get ready to get a little bit of a bite to eat, maybe watch a quick couple TV episodes, and go to bed. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll see you guys back in action here tomorrow night as the Wednesday night street fights go to battle. We'll see some dirt track, dirt street stock racing tomorrow evening. A little bit of fun there tomorrow night and getting those dirts in the skirt tomorrow. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that one's going to play out. It was very interesting to see how this race went. We can't thank all the drivers, all the sponsors, all the fans in the stands enough for tuning in, showing up, and showing the love here this evening. As we'll see you guys back here tomorrow evening. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love, chat. We'll see y'all later.
Friends for pets!
Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining light so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal, light the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might. Flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining life so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might.